Hey, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are listening to this now or in the future. Welcome to the Irreverent Therapists. And today our show is about the insane and crazy political situations going on all over the world and the news. So, have you ever felt bombarded by what's happening out there with all the leaders and non-leaders and everybody in turmoil? Well, we're here today to offer you a few tips and tools on how to keep your cool in the midst of all of this insanity.
Yeah. And there is certainly a time where we need these tools. My goodness. When you came up with this topic, Marilyn, I was like, oh, yes.
Yes.
How much do we all feel bombarded by just everything going on these days, everywhere you turn? I actually deleted most of my news apps, and I'm limiting myself to just a certain amount of time on it a day, because I was finding myself getting very into a not so creative, easy space with it all.
Right.
How about you?
Well, absolutely. And I've been looking at this for quite a while. I even did a whole telecall on it. And some of the things that are really helpful to know or to remember, numero uno, are you aware that you pick up the thoughts, feelings, and emotions of everybody around you? I mean, have you ever walked into a room and you're feeling kind of good and someone's really angry and all of a sudden you're kind of angry? Well, we're more psychic than we ever believed. And so many people right now, both Pam and I live in America, so we're more aware of that. But I know it's going on all over the world. We're like, is that your anxiety or somebody else's anxiety? Is that your fear, or are you just picking up everything that everybody else is picking up and coming to a conclusion about? It's terrible. It's going to end in disaster. I'm going to go broke. All these horrible things. And yes, there are some pretty terrible things going on. Mm-hmm. But one of the questions I've always asked my clients when they would go, I'm like, are you more helpful to what's going on if you lower yourself to this anxiety and angst and all of that? You join the rat pack. Are you more helpful, or if you maintain a sense of calm and coolness, and even in the midst of all of this insanity, a sense of gratitude and happiness?
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you're bringing that up, because, it's like if you're sitting out there going, what do you mean you're picking up on everybody's stuff? It's like, to me, it's like a wave of energy going through the world. Like, here's somebody who's all upset about this or that or the other. And we do pick up on it. If you've ever been around a baby and before they cry that they're from the other room, that you're like, oh, wait, let me go check on the baby. Like, we all do this automatically and don't even realize it. And, when I said I deleted my apps, I'm someone who, if I go into some kind of social media or news app, if I'm not being present, I'm very likely to get kind of sucked into that energy that everybody else has and become ineffective the way you're talking about, Marilyn. Whereas if I make it more of a conscious choice, I am now going to go check and see what's happening, what the news says is happening in the world today. I can use the tools we know to be space with it and, kind of see what's there without kind of going down that rabbit hole of tapping into the oh no of the world.
Absolutely. And I've talked with a lot of people about this. And sometimes people say things like, well, if I don't go into that, then I'm not caring. Then I'm just a cold person. I'm like, no, that's not true. If you don't go into that, you can create a different possibility for people. Have you ever noticed when you're in the middle of angst, it's very hard, as Pam said, to be creative, to get anything done. It kind of freezes you. You can go, okay, what space can I be? What's possible here? And what can I contribute today? And
Mhm.
sometimes the greatest thing that you contribute is a sense of peace and ease.
Yeah.
Because from that space, different things can happen.
Yeah. Oh, I was
Oh, no,
one
go
thing. Yeah, one thing I think of to kind of illustrate what you're talking about is if you take it into a different context. Say there's an earthquake happening around you.
Yeah.
If you're someone who goes to panic, how well can you take care of yourself, your family, anybody
Yes.
else around you
Yes.
to do to do the things they say to do in an emergency. Whereas if when the earthquake's happening, you are able to keep a sense of yourself and presence and space and okay, this is going on. What's required here? I'm grabbing this kid, and you just take care of what's required in the moment. And so the same thing applies to, when it's more of your emotions or the energy you're being and the people around you. And, there's not like, it's not the same kind of crisis as an earthquake, but it's, definitely there's in many parts of the world, things going on that our bodies and our systems react to in that same way.
Yes. And one of the things you can ask, and I ask this because I still go into it at times. Oh my gosh, I can't believe they're doing this. That's just wrong. And stuff that's going on, some of it is just wrong. And I'm not going to say going to right and wrong, just to be aware, and going into anxiety actually cuts off your awareness. But another thing you can ask is this relevant to me? And that doesn't mean you're cutting yourself off from doing anything. It means that you're cutting yourself off from things that actually can disrupt you and disturb you that aren't all that relevant, because some of it's not relevant to you. And it doesn't help you to see, I'm so powerless about the fighting in Sudan. Well, maybe we are. But when you say that, you can't ask a question at all. Is there something I can be or do about this? Yes, no, not right now. Okay, now what? Now, what can I be and do to create greater in my life? You're not being selfish if you say that.
Yeah.
You're being practical, and you're actually asking a question that can help you create something greater, whatever it is.
Well, and that makes me think of another tool that I'm using a lot these days, which is, when I do see something on the news or I'm having a conversation with somebody about it, it's anything I've ever been or done in any lifetime that allows this to exist or that created this, because it's like we all have choices we make. And, maybe you're not someone who looks at lifetimes. I am, but it's like anything I've done to create a world in which the kinds of things going on that don't work for me and that I'd like to have changed, that's going on. I can energetically destroy and uncreate anything I had a part in creating it.
Right.
Or what, like Marilyn was saying, what can I be or do that would create something different? And you might think, oh, well, if I'm sitting in my house in the US and there's something else going on in the other part of the world or in another part of my country, how can me asking these questions create any change?
Yes.
Well, and to me, it creates it in a lot of ways. One, like Marilyn already talked about, is when you shift the energy you're being, that starts impacting everyone around you.
Yes.
So it's
Say
like
that again, Pam, please.
Okay. When you shift and change the energy you're being, that impacts everyone around you. So you can be this beacon of space and possibility and choice and not being the effect of things. suddenly people in your family, your coworkers, it's like this energetic ripple that goes out and starts creating something different. And guess what? If enough of us are choosing that,
Yes.
it actually starts creating change. Also when you're being that space, you can see, oh, hey, here's something I heard of that I can contribute to, someplace I can go take some action that actually will contribute to creating change.
Yes.
But when you're in that freak out place, you can't see that. You're just in survival mode trying to, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm so at the effect of all of this. And that recognizing that you actually have a power and potency to create different than what's going on can be huge in terms of your own well-being and the change you can create in the world.
Absolutely. And there are two things that people believe are going to be helpful that actually aren't. One is self-righteousness. Now, we've all been self-righteous about something at some point. But if you get the energy of that, what does that do? It's just, I'm right and you're wrong. And if you go with that, all the other groups of people do is go, no, I'm right and you're wrong. Yeah. So that doesn't work. And neither does fighting. Mm-hmm. We actually have this idea that if we use violence and fight against, it's going to make a change. Mm-hmm. No, it's just going to perpetuate fighting and violence and all of those kinds of things. Now, I'm not saying that it's wrong, if somebody's beating up somebody, that someone doesn't come and intervene, but just get the energy of that. It's very, whereas as Pam was talking about, if you be space and you be kindness and gratitude in the face of all of this, you offer a different possibility, and the people around you have the choice to change and go, oh, wait a minute. And from calmness, you all can create something different. Mm-hmm. It's not, and this sounds kind of crazy, but it's not about being against, it's about being for. Yeah. So what are you for? What are you actually for? Yeah. And if you fight for what you're for, and I don't mean fist fighting, I mean, okay, what can we be and do to organize? What laws can we change? Or whatever it is, you'd create so much more than fighting against. So just check into your energy. Am I fighting for something greater? Or am I fighting against something that I've decided is wrong, terrible, bad, and I think that fighting against it's going to change it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and because the thing is, whatever you're fighting against, you're actually perpetuating.
Yes.
Because it's like there's this energy, there's, people creating whatever they're creating from that energy. And when you fight against it, it's just like, and it just keeps going. If you change the energy of what you're being, there's nothing for them to fight against.
Yes.
And it actually can start creating something very different. And I want to go back to something you said, which is, if I don't get all upset about this, that means I'm not caring. Right. And we've talked about, well, actually, if you get upset, you're less effective in doing anything about it, but we do tend to feel like those, charged emotions show we care and that we need that energy to get anything done and to change something, to fight what's going on. So what if you choosing to be a different space and you choosing to not go into that kind of reaction, it doesn't mean you're not caring. It means I'm going to be the most effective I can be with this, because if I'm not fighting it, I'm also not perpetuating it. And I can be an energy that comes in, and like Marilyn said, people go into question because they're like, you're not reacting the way I would think you should react, given, what I've decided about you from how you look or the people you associate with. Like there's so many things like that go on, and you can have a different perspective on it where you still take action and make choices and take action to create the world you would like to be living in.
Right.
I would like to be living in a very different world than what we're creating now. But knowing that I can choose to be make changes myself with my energy and my actions, that can create something different in the world. That's what inspires me, and that's what allows me to go look at the news without going down the rabbit hole. Because I'm like, instead of I can go to, so what can I be that would create something different? What do I know? Who can I talk to? Where can I go? What can I create that's gonna create something different on this planet?
And notice Pam just had like 5 different questions. When you're or fighting against, you cannot ask a question and you cannot be aware of possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's going to create the change.
Yeah.
When going back to, are you the effective, or when I said, is this relevant to you or me or whomever? Mm-hmm. If you can go, wait a minute, what else is possible? Okay, grocery prices are up. What can I be or do? Where can I contribute in this particular situation? Whatever it is, if you're just space and ask questions, you can be effective in your life and you can be effective in other people's lives, which I think is what pretty much everybody who'd be watching this desires. I would like to be effective here and not the effect of.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I think of, I've heard many people over the past few years, there's been many things that have been polarizing in recent years. And I know people who, with their families are like, well, we just don't talk about that. We just can't go there, whether it's politics or back in the COVID days or, whatever, where their family members or friends have very different points of view than they do. Mm-hmm. So, that's one way of handling it, where you say, I just won't go there. I just won't talk about it, whatever. Or I'm going to talk about it and we're going to fight. They kind of have this either or thing going on. And, what Marilyn and I were just talking about of asking questions, that can be an amazing way of shifting the energy in a group. Because, say you are with your family and somebody brings up, the politics or the whatever, and you can tell everyone's starting to kind of go into their corner where they're going to fight from, what questions can you ask? And so one of the things we talk about is a question isn't a point of view with a question mark attached.
Right.
A question is something that really creates more space and opens up possibilities. And so, I wonder if it weren't that, what could be possible? If we weren't assuming this, what might we be aware of? Or Marilyn, you're really great at coming up with some of those kinds of questions.
Well, one of the things is, why don't you see things my way is not a question. So just get really clear on that. A question in a situation like Pam was talking about could be something like, well, could you tell me more about what brought you to this point of view? I'm really interested in where you came up with this, or what it means to you, or what happens if you have a different point of view. If you can get people to begin to talk about what's going on with them, and not in a necessarily justifying way, but, oh, I'm confused. Tell me more about that.
Yeah.
Then you can really create some change.
Yeah.
Or even if you don't, at least you're not escalating a battle, which can be very helpful. And what most people desire is to be heard and to be right. And so you're not necessarily telling them they're right, but you're giving people a chance to be heard. And a lot of people are just reacting, as we've talked about, from particular situations. Yeah. And they don't really know how to get out of it, or they don't want to get out of it. And that's okay too, because that brings up something else that both Pam and I use, and that is allowance. Now, am I perfect at it? No, not at all. But what is allowance? Allowance is everything, and everyone else's opinion is just an interesting point of view. Allowance is, oh, the sky is blue. Oh, the sky is black. Oh, the flower's blooming, or the flower's dead, but without having that charge and that emotion to it. And if you can actually step into an energy of allowance, the world relaxes.
And if you're wondering, what is this allowance stuff? There's a book by Gary Douglas called The Gift of Allowance,
Which is
which to me is like
awesome.
a handbook for
Yes.
using interesting point of view as a tool.
Yes.
It would be a great resource for you, no matter what it is that's going on in the world that's
Yes.
aggravating you.
Yes.
And you could get it like as an audiobook on things like Audible or Kindle, as a book, ebook. You can buy the book, a physical copy. But that's a great thing. And, one of the questions I like to do, whatever is going on, whether you're talking to an individual or a group, is, I just wonder what else might be possible here.
Yes.
Is there something we haven't even considered that,
Yes.
that could create something different?
Yes.
And that kind of takes everybody off their own point of view and puts them into question. And from that space of question, it's harder to have a fixed point of view.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So go forth and be the beautiful space you can be and choose what's going to create greater for you.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks for joining us.